One of the big topics of discussion lately in Dragon Ball Super is not just how awesome the show has become the last couple weeks, but it's all about Trunks again. And the question now is, how the hell did Trunks from the future get so strong to be able to compete at least a little bit with Goku Black, with Zamasu, and to be able to hang in there with those guys during the fight? How did he get so damn strong? Well, on this video, I'm going to look at all the data that we have from classic Dragon Ball as well as Dragon Ball Super. And with this video, I hope to give you the most researched and best answer possible when discussing future Trunks' newfound strength. Let's go.
I've come back from the future to warn you that if you don't subscribe to Geekdom 101, your future is grim.
As you guys know, whenever I make a video like this, unlike a lot of other people, I try my best to analyze all the facts that have been presented to us and try my best to come up with a logical conclusion that makes sense, or maybe one of a few different conclusions. But unfortunately, as many of you guys know, Dragon Ball Super is a bit confusing when it comes to the power scale and quite inconsistent. Some would argue that the power scale has already been jacked since the Buu Saga, and I would agree with that, but we're going to try and make sense of it. So the question today is, why or how is future Trunks so damn strong? We're going to look at a few different sources here. The first time we really saw his strength, like his newfound strength, was when we saw him fight Goku in the anime. Goku was pleasantly surprised and pleased that Trunks had achieved Super Saiyan 2 in the future timeline. Now, many folks have wondered, well, how did Trunks achieve this form? We didn't see him achieve it back in Dragon Ball Z the last time we saw him, which was in Dragon Ball Z Movie 9 or Dragon Ball Z Episode 194, when he went back to the future to kill 17 and 18. Although some of the video games of the time incorrectly stated that Trunks did achieve it, we never saw him do it in the series, manga, or anime. So obviously it happened during the 17 years in between Trunks fighting Black and, of course, Trunks going back. Now, this already is somewhat of an inconsistency, but not too strong of one. And the reason why I bring this up is because you could kind of make sense that Trunks was able to unlock this power in the future, but the question is, who did he train with? I mean, everybody else was dead. Mai was the only one that was around that was part of the main cast, and of course Yajirobe. So I don't think that Yajirobe really helped Trunks that much, but who really knows? One thing we do know, and we found out from Trunks in that very same episode, is that Trunks made contact with the future Supreme Kai, who helped him fight Babidi and the Majins. Now, obviously, we don't know if the Supreme Kais actually helped train Trunks or to what degree they helped train him, but we do know that there was some involvement. So maybe Trunks was able to get that power with his help, with lots of training, maybe even with the Z-Sword. Some people have actually speculated or thought that it's possible that the sword that Trunks carries now is the Z-Sword, because his original sword was destroyed way back when. Even though the sword he has now does not look anything like the original Z-Sword, it could be possible that it's a future version of it, or maybe a different kind of Z-Sword, or maybe it is a sword given to him by a god, mostly because of the fact that Trunks was able to block the psionic blade technique in Dragon Ball Super Episode 57, but that may have also been Trunks using his own power, which we're going to get to here in a minute. Now, if you read the Dragon Ball Super manga, it gets even more out of whack, because we find out that Goku versus Trunks in the manga was slightly different. In fact, I would go so far as to say it was kind of vastly different. Trunks and Goku have their sparring match, but in this version, Trunks' Super Saiyan 2 was equal to Goku's Super Saiyan 3. Now, that is very confusing and very strange, because this is not the Goku from the Buu arc. This is Goku who has trained for years, 3 years in the Room of Spirit and Time, trained with Whis, trained with Vegeta. You would think that his base form would be so strong that if he were to multiply it with the transformation of SS3, he'd be an animal. Of course, not as strong as the God forms, but still, you would think he'd be an animal. How in the hell could Trunks keep up? This is one thing that's very, very hard for me to explain, and to be honest, I can't give you a really great answer, because it kind of doesn't make any sense in this, because of how long and how strong Goku has trained for. But this is stated in the manga. Now, if Trunks is that strong against SS3, then I can kind of understand Trunks being able to briefly hold off Zamasu and Black. Obviously, he's not going to be able to beat them, but due to his pure sheer will and his willingness to fight and his balls, let's keep it real, his balls, he was able to fight off Zamasu and Black for at least a little while. I don't think he's close to being SS Blue. I don't believe that to be the case, even though we haven't seen the training he did with Vegeta, but the point actually goes to that, in that I do believe that Trunks training with Vegeta for that brief time that they trained, plus we can all presume that there was more training off screen, it could make sense that Trunks' SS2 really is that strong. It would actually make a lot of sense that that was the case, but it's still kind of wonky that Trunks was able to get so strong without a training partner. Now, if you want to figure out why this could be the case, you can go all the way back to the beginning of Dragon Ball Z. Go back to the beginning of Dragon Ball Z and the conversation between Vegeta and Nappa, which actually became a strong focal point in the development of the character of Gohan and in Dragon Ball Z. We pretty much find out, or at least we presume based on the comments that Nappa and Vegeta made, that human Saiyan hybrids have higher potential than pure-blooded Saiyans. Now, this was a major factor in the series going all the way to the Cell game when Gohan was the first one to unlock SS2 against Cell, and even further beyond when Vegeta in Dragon Ball Super states that Gohan has the biggest potential of all of them, but he just doesn't train and keep his body strong, and as a result of that cannot keep up. Never in the series is it actually said that the full-blooded members of the race were able to supersede Gohan as far as potential went, but a lot of fans have thought that possibly Toriyama forgot this little factoid, but that may not be the case because guess what? Future Trunks is also a half-breed. He is the son of the Prince of all Saiyans and the Princess of Technology, and as a result of this, I can totally see him having more potential. In other words, and I hate to say this to a lot of Gohan fans, but Trunks is kind of living out what Gohan should have been. Very strong base form, very focused on training. Of course, they had a different kind of upbringing, but it's still the same. They're both hybrids, and as a result of that, it would somewhat kind of make sense that Trunks' power would be where it's at in comparison to several other characters, and why he has so much potential and why his version of SS2 was able to keep up with SS3. And like I said, that was before the training that Trunks had with Vegeta, which made him even stronger. But then of course the question is, well, why can't Trunks use the God form? Well, one thing that we definitely have learned from the series that a lot of people forget is that there is only two ways for somebody to truly unlock God Ki. One is to do the ritual, and of course this only applies to Saiyans, to do the ritual, which we have not seen them do to Trunks, and they could do it because they have more than enough people lying around to do this ritual now. Or if you are trained by a higher being like a Whis or a Vados or one of these characters to teach you how to tap into your inner God Ki from the inside out, which we saw a little bit of in the Resurrection F arc filler way back in Dragon Ball Super. So Trunks has not trained with Whis, he's only trained with Vegeta, and we don't really know if Vegeta can teach him how to do this. Even though Vegeta learned himself, it may not be something that Vegeta is too apt to teach someone. So that might be why Trunks can't, you know, unlock SS Blue. Now, one of the big misconceptions I've seen in the fandom for quite some time, which really just started as an assumption, as somebody making a guess, is that only pure-blooded Saiyans can tap into God power. That's not necessarily true. In fact, that's never been stated in the manga or in the anime. So as far as we know, Goten, Trunks, Gohan, they can all, with training or with the ritual, unlock God Ki. And we saw Goku actually tap into his God Ki in the manga version of his fight with Trunks, and that was the only way he was able to beat Trunks, by tapping into his God Ki. So, in conclusion, Trunks is ridiculously strong, probably stronger than he should be, and it's kind of one of those story convenience type things, but I don't think he's equal to SS Blue. I think he was fighting his ass off in the fight with Black and Zamasu, but I still don't think that he's quite at that level, but he's certainly the strongest Saiyan we've ever seen without God Ki. That is an unquestionable fact. Let me know your thoughts down below. What do you think? Could it be that Trunks' hybrid human Saiyan genes are kicking in like Gohan's are supposed to and did in the past, that he's able to reach these levels at a young age and with less training? Or do you think there's another reason we don't know yet? I'm very curious to hear your thoughts. Thank you for watching this video. Spread it out. Thank you for supporting Geekdom 101. I will catch all of you guys down the road.